Anytime you've ever made a checklist, you probably figured out that it's not always easiest to go in order. So you may do this thing down here before you do this thing up here, and then you may finally get around to doing this. So we don't always go in order, and in math it's pretty much the same way. So the memory tool for math for the order of operations is PEMDAS. And this stands for Please Excuse My Dear Aunt Sally. And I write it like this: P-E-M/D, A/S, and I always draw an arrow going to the right. Now if you'll write those letters going down like this, we'll write what they each mean. So P stands for parentheses, E stands for exponents, M stands for multiply, and we just use the little dot symbol for multiply, no longer the X, because we're in algebra. And D stands for divide, A stands for add, and S stands for subtract. So again, we say, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, and that helps us to remember the order of operations. All right, let's try an example problem. So 8 divided by 2 times 4 plus 1. Well, we don't just want to go left to right and solve it in that order. We need to follow our rules. So we're going to check these off. We're going to look at PEMDAS. And do we have any parentheses? No. Do we have any exponents? No. Do we have any multiply or divide? And the answer is yes, we actually have both of them. And the reason I drew this arrow down here is because we do them in order from left to right. So in other words, these are on the same level. That's why they're written on top of each other. So the first one we see is the division. So we're going to do that one first. So in this case, divide comes before multiply. 8 divided by 2 is 4. And then I'm going to bring everything else down. So I have 4 times 4 plus 1, and now I'm still on the multiply and divide level because I still have some multiplication. So I'm going to do multiplication next, and 4 times 4 is going to give us 16, and then I bring down the add, and now we're on our last little group here, add and subtract, and I just have addition, so I do that, and 16 plus 1 gives us 17. And that's the correct way to do that problem. So I'm going to put correct here because I'm going to show you if you do it in the wrong order. Like you may have had a teacher that just wrote down PEMDAS in the past, and that's very confusing because you may think that multiply comes before divide if you're a visual learner, and add always comes before subtract, and that's just not the case. So that's why I have you write it in this fashion. But let's say that you messed it up and you did multiply before divide. So let's go through the steps one more time here, and let's say, do we have any parentheses? No. Do we have any exponents? No. And let's say that you screwed this up and you did multiply first. So again, this is the wrong way to do it. So I'm going to put wrong at the bottom. But if you would have done multiply first, we would have gotten 8 here, and then brought this down. 8 divided by 8 plus 1, and then we would still do division before addition. So 8 divided by 8 is 1, plus 1 would be 2, and this answer is definitely wrong. But it's the same question, so if you do them out of order and don't follow the order of operations, you will get the questions wrong most times. All right, let's try an example that includes some more of these operations. Here we go, example 2. 9 minus 2 to the third power plus parentheses 23 minus 9 times 2. Well, before we go any further, I'm always going to write down PEMDAS just to make sure I'm keeping everything straight. And I recommend you do the same thing. So M/D, A/S. And do we have any parentheses? The answer is yes. So we're going to come up here in our parentheses, and we still do order of operations inside parentheses. So looking inside here, do we have, what comes first, minus or multiply? Well, multiply comes before subtract, so we're going to do the multiplication first. So 9 times 2 comes first, that's 18. I bring down my minus sign and my 23. I'm going to bring everything else down. So I'm still on parentheses because I didn't finish doing everything inside parentheses. So I'm still going to do that. So 23 minus 18 is next. And 23 minus 18 is 5. Now since there's nothing left to do there, I can get rid of those parentheses. So I'm going to bring everything else down. And now look and see what we have. We've already done parentheses, so now we're on to exponents. Do we have any exponents? Sure, we have the third power right there. So that's an exponent, and that means how many times you multiply the base number by itself. So it really means 2 times 2 times 2. And a lot of people call that 6, but look at it. 2 times 2 times 2 is, well, that's 4, and 4 times 2 is 8. So I'm going to write 8 for the 2 to the third. I'm going to bring everything else down. All right, now I've done my exponents. I don't have any multiply or divide, so I can move on to the next level, which is add and subtract. And I'm going to do them in the order that they appear from left to right. So subtraction comes before addition, so I'm going to do the subtraction first. So 9 minus 8 gives me 1. I'm going to bring down what's left, the plus 5. And now I just have one operation left, so it's just 1 plus 5, which gives us 6. And that's our correct answer. All right, it's time that you try one on your own. So please copy this next question down and give it a shot. All right, go ahead and copy this down and then pause the video, and I will have the solution ready for you. Again, make sure that you write down PEMDAS and do each step in the order that they come. And now for the solution. We had parentheses, so we did that first, and we do multiply before we add, because multiply comes before addition. And we have 2 there, bring down the plus 3, keep it in parentheses since we're not done with it yet, and bring everything else down. And now we still have parentheses, so now we're going to do 3 plus 2, which is 5. We're done with the parentheses since there's nothing left to do there. I'm going to bring everything else down. And now we have exponents, so 3 squared. That means 3 times 3. So 3 times 3 is going to give us 9. So 63 divided by 9 minus 5. And now we have multiply and divide comes next, so we have a division sign. So we do 63 divided by 9, which gives us 7. Bring down the minus 5, and 7 minus 5 is just 2. All right, did you get that? I hope so. If not, watch the video again and see where you messed up. All right. All right, but what about fractions? Well, when more than one number is on one side of a fraction, we want to put the numbers in parentheses. In other words, we do those first. All right, so let's try an example with that. So let's say we had 5 plus 12 minus 4 over 2. Well, looking here, we don't have parentheses yet, But what did we just learn? We have more than one thing going on in this fraction. So more than one number is on the top. So we need to add the parentheses there. This will rarely be done for you. So you do need to have this committed to memory. So parentheses around the 12 minus 4. And now we're going to do our parentheses first. So we do that first. And we're going to have 5 plus 12 minus 4 is 8 over 2. And that fraction bar is just another way to write what? Divide. So we have addition and division. Division comes first. Because we've already done parentheses, we don't have any exponents, now we're on division. So division we do next. 8 divided by 2 is 4, so it's 5 plus 4, then 5 plus 4 is 9. Okay, now you try one. Let's do 13 plus 9 over 7 minus 4. And remember, we're going to use PEMDAS and check off each one as we go. So go ahead and try that. Pause the video, and then you'll see the solution. All right, and now for your solution. We do parentheses first, so we need to make the parentheses on the 7 minus 4, since we have more than one number written on one side of the fraction. So it becomes 13 plus 9 over 3. And now we just have addition and division. So we do division before addition. So 9 divided by 3 is 3. So it's just 13 plus 3, which gives us 16. Hopefully you got that. All right, the last topic we're going to cover is brackets. And brackets are just another way of writing parentheses. So brackets, denoted by this symbol, are an outer set of parentheses. So let's say you had 20 divided by brackets 8 minus parentheses 3 times 2. Close the parentheses and then brackets. What would you do first here? I'm going to write my PEMDAS down. And remember, I'm going to do parentheses first. And I know brackets are just another type of parentheses. They're like an outer set. So these are my outer set of parentheses. So I'm going to work inside of these first. And then inside of these brackets, I'm going to follow order of operations. So what do I have inside? Subtraction, parentheses, and multiplication. Why do parentheses first? So I'm going to go ahead and do the 3 times 2 first, because parentheses comes first. So within these parentheses, I do parentheses next. So 3 times 2 gives me 6. I'm going to bring down everything else, so it's 8 minus 6 brackets, and 20 divided by. Now, remember, parentheses and brackets are the same thing. So I have division, parentheses, and subtraction. I still do parentheses first. So 8 minus 6 comes next, and 8 minus 6 is just 2. And now I'm done with those brackets or parentheses, so it's 20 divided by 2. And 20 divided by 2 is 10. So just treat brackets like parentheses. Don't get confused by those symbols. It's the same thing. And that's going to wrap up order of operations. Hope you can check that off your list of understanding.